Now, Botswana will hold its presidential elections this week, with President Mokgweetsi Masisi seeking a second term. And of course, the country is heading to a polls amid concerns of unemployment, with young people bearing the brunt of this particular crisis. Let's now look ahead to the elections in that country. Khayelihle Khumalo, SABC News Reporter, joins me now in studio. Kyle, of course, this is one of the big stories this week. And a lot of people are wondering that, of course, Mokgweetsi Masisi is seeking a second term as president, but there are other, opposition parties who are eyeing this position.
Well, absolutely, Bongo. You're talking about three challenges from UDC, BPF and others as well. And also just in the main, a lot of them, they're saying that BDP, the current governing party in Botswana, has been in charge since 1966. So with the array of the challenges that are facing the country, they say it's time for change. They talk about the economy, for example. They say it has taken such a very long time for Botswana to diversify as an economy, as opposed to just relying from the diamond exports. So there's quite a lot that Botswana can do in terms of its potential. So they also do talk about issues around tourism and many other industries as well. So there's also that concern from the young stars in particular, like you just alluded, who are really just bearing the brunt of all these challenges. And especially because these are young people, when you read what is taking place in that country, who are graduating but simply don't have jobs. Well, that's right. And they call it a jobless economy. As much as it's dubbed as a shining star of Africa, as much as it's seen as a stable democracy, but then you have all these challenges. But also it's been preceded by very interesting events with former President Ian Khama, with a fallout with the incumbent President Masisi, where also a lot of people there have been saying, will the Khama magic have any impact in terms of these elections? Especially because we saw in 2019, Khama once again saying that, look, he won't be voting for BDP, he's going to support an opposition party. So with his return, post-exile life in South Africa, a lot of experts are saying these will be very interesting polls in Botswana. And you mentioned that too. Some say that it's yet another moment that could, again, resuscitate the feud that we've seen. Well, very much so, especially because as much as we've seen him going back to court, appearing obviously over those charges, over the unlawful possession of illegal firearm, but obviously has since rejected those assertions, saying that there is no substance whatsoever to what has been leveled against him. So it's going to be very interesting to see what will really happen. But for President Masisi, he's saying, look, give me just a last chance to finish what I started. It's going to be my last term in Botswana. We've always had successive leaders coming in from the time of President Khama Senior all the way to Festus Mogae, Masisi, and so many of them. So it's going to be really interesting, really. Interesting, and especially because some are saying that, the dominance of the BDP is also under scrutiny now, because it may possibly enjoy a majority, but it'll be interesting to see by how much, given its dominance previously. Well, certainly, Bongo, especially because we do understand at this point as well, even the SADC Observer Mission is on the ground to make sure that there are very good conditions, pre-election phase and also the post-election phase. So it's going to be really interesting as to how will the BDP perform, especially because for Botswana, they've always had this one-party dominant system where the BDP has always been in charge. So even in 2019, as much as they won, some of the opposition parties went to court. Obviously, that case was dismissed, where the court said everything was well run. So now the issue is that the ball is going to be in the court of the IEC of Botswana to make sure that everything is well run, especially when you look at last weekend, where they really had the advance voting in some instances outside of the country, and also in the country, that there were ballot papers that ran out in some instances. So some opposition parties are already saying, look, the IEC really was found wanting in this regard, because they should have provided a conducive environment for free, fair and peaceful elections. And speaking about, the IEC, let's talk about how it's all to unfold. And who exactly, of course, they do have the candidates they are voting for, but are they also voting for parliament and all of this? So let's talk about how it all unfolds then. Well, absolutely. So it's general elections. It's going to be the president, the members of parliament, but also the regions in Botswana. And it's going to be a very interesting time because, Bongiwe, this is one of the countries really in Africa, especially where we've seen instabilities in other countries. This is a country all the way from 1966 where we haven't seen any just sort of upheavals happening in the country. It's always been fairly smooth. As much as you would have the challenges, would have all the concerns being raised. I think that's the legacy that the people of Botswana are trying to sustain. That has been a message as well coming from the SADC. For example, Tanzania's president, Samia Hassan, really talk about the issue of appealing to all the political actors to make sure that they conduct themselves properly, appealing to the electorate to adhere to the electoral code of conduct in terms of making sure that Botswana is upholding all these standards, also in keeping with SADC's principles and also just in terms of how the elections should be conducted.
Certainly promises to be one to watch. Khayelihle, thank you so much, and we'll continue to monitor it through your eyes there. That's Khayelihle Khumalo, SABC News reporter, tracking the developments in Botswana for us as that country heads to the polls this week.